Good morning. It's time. Almost. Just gonna turn off the music. Cool. All right. Let's click the right buttons. We did it. We did it, Reddit. We clicked the right buttons today. Welcome, welcome. It's Monday. It's Monday, almost 8:30. So we've got about an hour before the market opens. Yay. And so far it's kind of red. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on out there with Iran again, of course, and that story just never ends, which is too bad. But yeah, we're still here, we're still kicking, and let's get right into it. So, uh, really, Spy is kind of telling the story. So is QQQ, but Spy is telling the story of just where we've been sideways trading for the better part of a month and a half now. This goes back to say mid-May, and it's okay, 2 months actually, 2 months we'll call it, where we've basically been in this just sideways pattern for a bit, but we are at more or less all-time highs. We got pretty close Friday to breaking all-time highs, but couldn't quite make it through there. Although it was still a good day. It had a nice 0.5% increase on a 0.5% or almost a percent increase on, well, a drop. So yeah, sideways for now, and we're hoping that this week can be a good week. Although we've got some challenges ahead of us right now with just the news out there. So, in particular, Soxel taking a pretty big hit. We should look at what are the holdings on Soxel. I haven't really looked deeply into this. Somebody's slamming doors around me. Sorry. But yeah, let's take a look at the fund and just see, the top holdings. Look at that. The U.S. dollar is down 800%. That's awesome. And my dogs are doing something upstairs. Sorry. They're playing with some sort of hard toy. But AMD is a big portion of it. MU is a big portion of it. And, NVIDIA, of course, Avago. So all of the chip makers are quite large. And I'm thinking that we clearly are going to have some struggles here as people keep getting a little antsy with the chip makers being at these extreme all-time highs from where they were, right? And honestly, I look at this 1,300% increase, actually more than that, right? Like, what is this? 1,900? That's insanity. But that life cycle of an investor chart that basically is a big mountain, and then what happens to that mountain? It just drops bigly. I would personally, I'm not in MU or really any of these. I'd be wary of this. I'm keeping an eye on Soxel for that reason because I think there's going to be, this is a 3x ETF, number one, so we got to keep that in mind. But so higher risk to begin with. But I think there's going to be a buying opportunity in the not too distant future. It could be months away, but like look at these swings. Look at these swings that it tends to have. Like from here to here is 2,000%, and then it drops 90%, and then we were up 1,000%, and then it dropped 90%. Now we're up 3,500%. Like, what do we think's going to happen next? Yeah, maybe it goes up forever, but I have a feeling it doesn't. And that's what we're going to keep an eye out for. Now, is it going to go back to this line here? I don't know. That seems maybe suspect, but it certainly could. But if it does, like, you know what? Let's set up an alert. We cross this line and we want to see what's going to happen here, right? So that line, by the way, to line up, this is a log chart. If you didn't see it, this number is $16. It's currently at 172. So I don't know if that's going to happen. That seems like potential insanity. However, you know, you look at this drop and you say, well, that was a 91% drop. This drop here was an 83% drop. So what does an 83% drop look like? Somewhere around, let's see, 83%. Let's get close, something like that. that is at $50. So we can draw a line there. And maybe that's where we want to draw the line actually, and not and hope the chart doesn't go all the way to the this trend line. This is 83% drop. And then the other one was 91%, right? Something like that, 91. So from here, 91% drop, if I could click it correctly, is basically this line. So pretty rough. Well, actually, you know what? Because it's log, it's not that bad. Something like this. All right, so this is the 90 percenter. Yeah, all of these are scary though, and we're gonna set alerts on all of them. Let's wake me up when we hit the 83 percenter, and we'll just leave the others. So you know what, we can, that's fine. We'll keep both on. Again, do I think we're gonna drop here? Not necessarily, but it's the risk that we see when we just look at this chart. And again, this chart, this also Saxel has decay because it's a 3x ETF. So that's the other thing. Whereas like NASA, which is a the space stock stuff, this is not a leveraged ETF. This is straight shares. So this is a lot safer to hold on to for a long period of time. Saxel is going to be more of like a swing play if you get into that at all. Now that said, we do have some nice pop offs going on here. Shop for whatever reason is up. It's been slow climbing out of here. It looks like my 120s are going to get assigned this week, which is fantastic. Yes, it was. We're actually at like break even right now for this particular option at pre-market open. 125 or so is would be pre-market or would be break even for me on the 120. So anything up is missed gains if we close above it. But you never know on that stuff. So SoFi, SoFi is also looking to try to break out, which is good for them. Good for you, SoFi. It's been a struggle bus for them. And I think 20 is going to be really hard resistance to break through. Like, look at this right here. This is $20 resistance. So just write that. Right. And we've hit up against it. Let's see. It's a psychological, which is part of the issue here. So a lot of people are going to be setting limits for $20 get me out of here. I've been in hell for what? Well, we'll measure this in just a second. Well, we've been in hell for really since back here, I would say February. No, 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 no. We have to go back to January where the drop off really happened. And even over here, it's like, well, we might bounce, right? We had this line going on here, which was kind of interesting, where this was a high probability continuation, and we fell through. We just broke down and fell through. So, like, once that happened, we turned this into resistance, this $20 line, which 25, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Let's move this up slightly. 2025 is here, and that was like psychological support. And then we dropped through it, and there's nothing down until $20 resistance, which is kind of cool because look at this. This is how this works, where it was support here, right? And then we dropped down and broke down, and now we've just been clawing our way back, sideways trading for a while. There was a couple of points of potential entry here, double bottom, right? Like if you saw this, you might have said, "Yep, this is where I want in." Good for anyone who got in at 15, which is another very round number. That's kind of again fascinating that these numbers are so round. And that's how you can tell that they are exactly that psychological support. Now, we don't expect to hit to the penny, but like this is pretty dang close, right? We touched it within it 4 times down here over the course of the last few months and finally said, yeah, no, that's the bottom. That's the new bottom. Which is good because we could have gone all the way down here where my buy leaps mark is, and yeah, I mean, I would if it dropped here, I definitely would have bought leaps. But this is cool. This is also like inverse head. This is let's look at this on the weekly. It looks like it could be head and shoulders and then inverse head and shoulders. Like check this. So we have a little ugly head and shoulders, and then maybe an inverse head and shoulders. I don't know. It's a little sus. You might need to curve the line here a little bit to get it to work, something like that. But you get the idea. We've got, I think, a pretty bullish setup, especially if we can break through here and actually hold it through, ideally the end of the week and get it on a weekly candle for that just like extra strength to it. It needs some extra strength Tylenol right now because it's been a headache for many, many people. And then we have just like Mag 7 and software stocks are, or tech services, whatever you want to call them here, continuing to make like a little clawback effort where Adobe is a funny one because everyone's like, oh, it's dead, it's going to zero. It's not, I don't think it's going to zero. They are working their way back out of this mega trough that they've been in. And again, if we look at this monthly, look at that. The final support, which was pretty clear, right? We didn't make this up. This was pretty clear. We were hoping to hold here. I think a lot of people were surprised that we didn't. I know a lot of people like WTF, I think, big investor that was on After Hour. It's still on X. He was buying calls here on these drops. And I mean, even if he bought 1 year leaps, he's in a world of hurt. I hope they are further out than that because the stock is down 40%. Well, now it's down 30% from there. So yeah, we've got a long way to go up, but we are starting to see that momentum change, and we can see it right here. The monthly candle on support. Is this going to be the turnaround for us? I hope so. So hey, yeah, it's the ants are marching. And what did he always say? There was a name that he always referenced. Martin? Martin. I don't know. I don't understand what his references are. Obviously, he pretends he's a middle school kid, but whatever. Um, yeah, that was a fun one. But yeah, this looks honestly promising. There's going to be some resistance here for sure coming up on the 200 MMA. This is a monthly, so 200 moving average for the monthly. But the daily is, starting to make higher highs, higher lows, maybe some higher high, higher low type stuff. Martin the cat. Hey, dead words. What is Martin the cat? Is that a thing? What am I missing? I don't know. If it is, I am ignorant to Martin the cat. I think of like Martin. Geez, what's his name? He was. Geez, Marty. I think he went by like a Saturday Night Live guy from years ago. It was his cat. Oh, wow. There's like WTF lore going on here. That's a lore drop. Are you actually WTF in disguise? Maybe. Quick, quick, ask him. What are you doing with those Adobe leaps? Maybe you cut them already. But I know there were many millions bet on that one. Anyway, let's get back to this chart. I think Adobe's going to continue heading up, and there's some other things that are moving along with it. Netflix is working on the higher highs, higher lows. Dropped a little bit lower than I would have liked to have seen for sure, but this could be the breakthrough needed. And then we've got Microsoft, same deal, right? So higher high, higher low. Held the drop here on the line nicely, which is perfect. That's the long term trend line that we need to stay within to not break down in that channel. Let's get this. There we go. So you can see that, like, yeah, this is kind of dire straits if we break down there, and there may be some leaps in play here. Not not financial advice. So Microsoft seeing some benefit there. Baba was red or green earlier, but that's fine. We had a big run here over the last couple of weeks, or last week in particular. So a little back test is all good, and then hopefully we can continue to go up to yes, more leaps here. Leap target for me. Let's change this to yellow. Okay, and we're sitting. That's the leaps target is on top of a gap here in case you're wondering why. That's why it's exactly that number. That's why. But I wanted to look at Meta. They were hot on Friday, too hot maybe, and a little back test is totally cool. Could immediately close this gap. I think that would be routine and nothing concerning. Like if you look here, look at the prior gap up. We closed half of it. and then we went back up, gapped again. I would not be surprised if we backtest on the 200 SMA today, especially with the macro news behind us. And that'd be fine. That would be totally cool. Nothing to panic about within the day. And that's why we always want to look on the longer time frames, because the day, anything can happen on any individual day. It just doesn't matter. And then we've got defense, space, and AI is definitely sucking wind right now. Everything high risk. Ampix is troublesome here. If we break down from this channel, I don't know what the bottom is. It could drop to here, to here, to here, or beyond. Right? Like there's the chart is scary if we break down on Ampix, which is not a big stock play. I'm sure some people are in it. Archer continuing to be just like super disappointing. I hold shares here, and cost basis is somewhere up here. Uh, Sometimes sell calls on it. I don't have all my calls on it. I just started putting them all on the chart back here, and thought we were going to break through this support resistance line, but nope, we bounced right off it. We did actually break above it briefly, but not long enough. I don't think we even held it on the weekly, did we? No, we closed 1 week above, and then immediately boom, backdrop, painful. Tesla, another big name that continues to sit in this mega wedge. I'm looking at the weekly here, so this is where we closed last week, and I would say that we've got risk to back test down to, the 370s potentially within the week before we probably head back up to here. This is what Tesla does. So this wedge though is kind of insane. It's been going since how long now? 2021. This is like a GME wedge. But defense and space still struggling. ONS looks like it may break down from what was a support level. Now we could open down and then close up, obviously, so we could wick past this. But this is definitely big trouble in Little China here, where we've got to hold this line. If not, we're probably looking to backtest pretty far down. The weekly 100 is $5. The monthly, we've got some other closer 666, nice, and or 667 for the 21 EMA, and the 34 is at 574. So those are all risks for ONS if we break down from here. And opening below is not a great start for sure. But at the same point, like I look at this as a potential opportunity to average down DCA into a stock that I like. And like personally, not financial advice, I will be every time we drop 50 cents, I'll probably add to the position a little bit and get that average down. And I'm happy with that. I think that's great. So this is great though, because we could sell the option at 7. We could sell the option when we get close to 650 for puts, and that actually, if we sell the option at 7 when we're at 7, we'll probably get 25 cents on it. We can look at this. Here's got fear and greed up. Let's look at ONS. We can look at this here and see that the closing price for the $7 put for last week was 20 cents, basically. So going into it today, this is likely to be higher since we're opening down. And I'll probably put a limit sell in for maybe 25 cents. So then, if assigned, the stock cost basis would actually be 675, and a 25-cent on $7 is 3.5% return. So if it's not called away, it's still an effective use of our capital if that hits. So that's one play that I'm considering this morning. And I like selling on a Monday when we have some big red. We ended with red yes on Friday, and we're opening with more red on Monday, which is potential falling knife territory, of course. But again, this is how we scale in. So we don't know what the exact bottom's going to be. We're definitely bearish on major time frames, daily and weekly. Not monthly yet, actually. That's kind of interesting. Must be soon though. Well, this gold regime does this. I don't know why. On there we go. on the monthly chart sometimes. But you can see that we have not actually hit. We hit the first purple star, but and this is not long enough history to get a purple star there. But the golden regime. Oh, we did hit the purple star. Why does it? Oh, it just updated, or was I on a different stock? It is bearish on basically every time frame except the 4 hour on Friday, where I think we were reclaiming some. No, we couldn't have. I don't know. I don't know why we were. Why were we blue there on the 4 hour? Huh? Did we close up after hours or something? Interesting. No, we weren't there either. Oh, that's weird. Okay, we'll have to look at that. Something's happening there with the different way that we look at the chart. I've never seen that before. Anyway, long story short, good opportunity from my perspective to DCA in, and that's what I like to do with stocks that I want to own. But we don't go all in. We don't do. Oh, it's at a recent all-time low. What's going on? Great. And oh, hey, Pandora Rangarao. Dude, I can't say your name. I'm sorry. I just butchered that so badly. I'm going to call you Pandu. We got, or Pandora. Pandora is close enough to Pandora that I can remember that. Yeah, so I think ONS is one. I think anything space that you want to get into is one. Look at this. Rocket Lab is super interesting here. We're on the weekly chart, okay? The weekly chart is fascinating because look, very clear channel. Would you agree? I think you would agree. We hit a bottom, we hit a top. We hit a top, we hit a bottom. Top, bottom, top, currently at a bottom. What do you do at the bottom? What do you think you do? Well, this is, in my opinion, this is if you're interested in this company, this is a great place to sell puts. Now, you might want to sell below the 80. Maybe we look at the 70, right? What does Rocket Lab have for this week for 70p? I bet it pays more than like at least a half a percent, maybe a percent. Let's see. So 71 is more than half a percent. So let's get to from 70 to 80. I guess we can go to 85. That's fine. And this is the monthly. This is triple witching, right? So this is going to be, which if you saw in Great Ripple's market report, which was fantastic this week, by the way. If you didn't check it out, you're missing out. Sign up. I think there's a link. I'll have to check this later, but I think there's a link in the description to get our free Sunday newsletter. It's really good. But looking at this, so 70 pays, you could probably at open get half a percent on 70, which would, be okay use of your capital. But if you want, you could look at 75. Looking back at the chart here, 72 is the 50 SMA. So sometimes what I like to do is I would look at the 75, which is going to probably pay a buck 50, and it is going to lower our cost basis to 73.50 if we were to get assigned. 73.50 is only a buck 25 off the current 50 SMA for the weekly, which is typically strong support. So that seems like a good place to get in. Again, I wouldn't go all in. I would position size. If you're like, ultimately, you're looking at 10 contracts or 1,000 shares, maybe you say, I will sell two options at 75, right? That's a consideration. You don't need to do 10 unless you're like, unless you fully believe that this channel is going to hold forever, which we don't know. And so that's why that's a risky move to sell a full position worth of contracts at once. Whereas two, well, you're buying at the bottom of the channel, so that's probably pretty decent. And if we drop further, you're in a much better spot than if you can then DCA in, all the way down at the 100 SMA at 47, right? Like that could be an option. Here, just like I was saying with ONS, where ONS I would look at 7,656 or 765, something like that. Here, maybe you're looking at 75, 65, which is up here, 60, stuff like that as potential entry points. Or you can go further down, of course, but it depends how much you like that stock. Then we've got Bitcoin is clearly red. Yeah, we're down 1.8%, which is too bad because we were hanging around on the 200 SMA there on the weekly. and it would have been nice to close the week above that, and we did not. So now we seem likely to break back down to this silly trend line, which is just connecting some wicks. Not so good, not so good there. But that can change in a heartbeat. So we'll keep an eye on that. I think that's going to be very much driven by some of the geopolitical stuff. We just need to give time to see. I'm not up to date on that, by the way. I don't know if there's been any morning tweets already changing things. It doesn't look like it. That said, we have more space opportunities with ASTS. If you've been waiting to get into that, we're starting to work our way back towards the bottom of the channel here. $60 has historically been very strong support, or 65 even, I should say, and you could probably sell the 65 pretty easily. I would also, there's going to be covered calls being sold here. I would suggest if you're looking at covering and below cost basis, the 50 SMA is going to be on the weekly, pretty strong resistance, potentially. That said, ASTS doesn't really care about resistance. When it wants to go, it just goes. Here we broke through everything right in the same week, so your mileage may vary on that one. And then DCs again, Galaxy is down, CoreWeave is down, Iron, NBiz all down almost 3%, which is frustrating for anyone who's been getting in towards the top end here. Definitely, it's a little painful to hold. Although they had a decent rebound week, and we're opening in the middle of where we were last week. Honestly, totally fine. If we were to move up here, that would be a normal looking candle, especially as you zoom out, right? Like it's totally fine to open in the middle of a candle and then head back up, right? Here from week to week, as an example, we closed at 82 and then we opened at 81, down a percent or so, and then we just ran all week. That's highly possible. Nothing saying that can't happen. Um, Now, my watch list is not that strong in covering all aspects of the market. And unfortunately, the stock heat map doesn't update until the market is open. But this is a good reminder that, there's some big runs that we had towards the end of last week. NVIDIA, Meta, right? And this isn't the daily, right? Oh, this is the daily. Okay. AMD. So like some of these corrections are not super meaningful if you look at it in context of last week was good, we're finishing within the week, totally fine. Nothing looks like the bottom has dropped out, at least on my watch list. And we're finally starting to get back into some earnings as we get into this week, which if we look at earnings for this week, let's see. I know Bob posted this in the Discord here. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick. What do we got? Here it is. I can just bring this over real quick. You can see that we've got some big ones with the banks starting to kick off here. Citibank, Goldman Sachs, JPM. This is going to be a big day. This tomorrow morning is going to have a lot of guidance for the broader markets, the overall state of the economy. That's what you can look towards hearing on Tuesday from these companies. And then we got a bunch of junk. We have Phoenix, okay, Loop, whatever. Haven't heard of half of these. I have heard of Air, ASML, sure. Industry, we've got some insurance. BlackRock's another big one with Morgan Stanley, PNC, some more banks, and then some more junk. I mean, well, whatever. United is airline, so that's actually kind of useful as well. And then we got a big one with we got UNH, TSM, Netflix. Alcoa is a good indicator of industrial stuff. GE. All of these are, well, not all of these, but a lot of these are of interest, I think, to the market. And then Friday is usually the randos that nobody really cares about. Volvo could be interesting. Uh, Actually, I don't see anything else interesting on Friday here, but Volvo, which says the ticker is VLVLY. VLVLY. Is that it? Interesting. I thought it was something else. But I'm not thinking of Volvo. I was thinking of Volkswagen. That's why. Dude, Volvo's on a tear actually. What the heck? What has this run been? 250%. Holy cow. If you they've only been geez, they've only been bullish for like the last few years since COVID. What is the monthly? Look at that. That's pretty solid, huh? They've got some channeling going on as well. I wonder, is this one to keep an eye on maybe? Whoops. Something like that. That's legit, actually. Let's change our colors back to this channel. Anyone have a Volvo? My wife drives a Volvo. Definitely something like that. Huh. Well, we're in the channel, so maybe we put alert on the bottom side. Okay, fine. That just happened. Cool. Let me get back my chat that I lost here. Hold on a second. So yeah, Volvo, not something I was expecting. Could I look at the timeline of the chart, hourly or okay? So hold on a second. I forgot. I didn't remember this was on. I wanted to turn that off. That has to be fixed for the future. It's too high. So yeah, this is or too tall. This is, as you can see now, we're on the monthly here. I've been on the monthly for a lot. I'll try to call it out generally, but my favorite charts are the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Sometimes I look at the 2 weeks, and on occasion I'll look at the hourly or the 4 hourly. The 4 hour, 4 hour, 4 hourly, 4 hour, 4 hour. Um, but in the case of what we're looking at now, this is the monthly. So when you look at the charts, the interval, the longer the interval, the more weight it has to the meaning, right? Because on the daily, again, like I said, anything can happen. But when you close the monthly so perfectly in sequence like this, where it really adds up correctly, and you can see that we are clearly in this channel like this is hard to argue to say that it isn't a channel. um, it means more, whereas here this wick, if we were to look at like the weekly, that wick can be multiple bars, and on the daily it could be multiple days where we're below that, as you see here. So but the daily, we don't actually, like, we may care if this happens, but there's no confirmation until you start getting into the weekly and the monthly, where it's like, okay, we never actually closed below here. We opened below and finished above. Now here we closed below, but then finished above at the immediate week following. So again, this isn't like terribly concerning. That's when we look at the monthly to be like, wait a second, is that for real? And the answer is no. This was over the course of a month. Look, nothing actually happened. We opened here and closed here. In fact, this is a bullish candle, right? This is the, what do they call it? The shooting star, or the hammer, or whatever, where it opens, it drops way down, and then the bulls come in and push the price back up and be like, no, actually we still like this stock. And then, as you can see from there, it actually had a nice little 15% run at one point before just sideways trading back into the bottom of the channel, where it once again popped off. And that pop off, like, if you look at that, I mean, that is a 46% pop off. That's pretty solid, I would say. Anyway, it's not getting added to the watch list, but I do like to put alerts on it that like wake me up when something happens. Now, I think we covered all of the DCs. Iron looking kind of sad. Pre-market. I will say this still looks like on the monthly a giant bull flag, and this could be the month where we pop off here. However, the macro is making me feel like that's less likely, as we're just getting resistance across the board on Nebius and CoreWeave and other stocks that are in this same kind of scenario. Galaxy, maybe another one here. This is, let's fix that. There we go. Another one where this is the monthly chart again. So if we look at this on like the weekly, you can see that we're just hitting resistance here pretty consistently. We tried to break out of this cup and handle. Um, we had a lot of stuff going on here with a head and shoulders into cup and handle into nothing. Like, okay, that's where TA sounds made up. By the way, it's when you just start like saying all these ridiculous pattern names in a row. But like overall at this point, we could ignore all these drawings at this point and say we're sideways trading, right? And we're kind of in this. We're in instead of drawing this, we're actually more like I'll just delete all this. Who cares? We're more like in this channel, something like this, right? So that kind of looks like it makes more sense too, doesn't it? We're out of that, so I can delete that. And the top of the channel is probably more realistically something like this, even if we broke out of it for a month or two. So this feels more legitimate to me of where we are. Um, and even if we zoom out, see if there's anything here, I don't really see any clear channel. Like you could argue something like this is happening. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't feel like this is exactly what we're seeing. Yeah, we might be. I guess we could be. All right. Well, I'll leave that on for now. So that brings us to potentially risk down to 20 if we want to hold this. But we don't have a third point here to really. That's kind of what I look for is 2 points make a line, obviously, but that third point really um, confirms it. Now, if Galaxy were to have a mega drop down here, this would be actually super bullish, I think, to bounce off here for the longer term time frame. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Honestly, I'd rather we just go up, up and to the right. But I think it's fine. I think it's fine long term is ultimately what I'm saying here. And you got to look at this from a that zoomed out context for sure, because this is tied to some Bitcoin a little bit as well. Galaxy used to be Bitcoin mining, right? Look at this. They are still listed as finance and investment banks and brokers. Um, but now they're getting into the data center infrastructure play, and they have guaranteed stuff, right? They've got that. Aren't they building the largest? I think they're building the largest data center yet in Australia or something like that. Somebody was telling me that. I think do your own DD on that, but I think you could find that somewhere to confirm or deny. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at for today. We've got defense is clearly the opportunity in the red right now, but there is downside potential, right? So we've got to be careful if we're going to get into that. Defense in space is actually what I meant to say there. And again, looking at the weekly and even the daily on ASTS, I will probably continue to play here a little bit. I might sell some 200 SMA CCs and hope for the best. Maybe they get called away. I don't know. If we run, we run, right? Like this is how many days is this? This is a 9-day, 80% run up. I guess if we were to go to the bottom, it's even better, right? Of a 16-day, just over 2 weeks. Well, we can do it from here to make it 2 weeks exactly. Oh, wait, no, we can't. We'd have to do 10. 3 week run of 100%. Okay, then yeah, this we just don't know what's going to happen with the stock. It's wild. If there's some launch news, things like that could certainly help. Uh, ASTS stock slips overnight despite fresh New Zealand gateway approval for AST Space Mobile. Well, you know what? Because the stock is affected by more than just news of its own news. It's going to be affected by the macroeconomics going on, and that is definitely, I think, what's dragging us down right now. And same deal for the data centers, right? Like, I don't think there's any bad news here that I've seen. No news on Nebius in the last few days. See if Iron has meme ETF rally leaves many underwater. What interesting. Iron stock jumps on analyst upgrades, see nearly 50% upside. Wow. Okay, that's exit liquidity right there. Meme stock runs. What are they talking about? Oh, actual meme stock. What is meme stock? What is the holding? I've heard of this before. Is this like a Wall Street bets holding? What? Oh, are any of you in meme stock? We gotta look this up. Is Oracle? Yeah, yeah. We talked about Oracle in the Discord this morning. Actually, I'll bring that up in a second. Hold on, give me 1 sec there. AAOI, Bloom Energy. Oh wow, this is some like high beta stuff. Every single one of these are things that you would see on Reddit, except for Reddit. Where is Reddit? What the heck? That's BS. They need to have Reddit. Wendy's. Wendy's is 3.5%. Oh, that's insane. Okay, so wouldn't touch. Maybe I would touch Marvel. Wouldn't touch. Wouldn't touch. Wouldn't touch. Probably wouldn't touch. A lot of these are actually fine. This one I wouldn't touch, but a lot of people are in it. I know. And BE I wouldn't touch either, but I'm in TE, which is basically the same thing. So maybe I shouldn't say that. And AAOI I wouldn't touch, even though they're running. I know, but yeah, they're. Well, I might touch AAOI. I am in some optoelectronics. Anyway, that's kind of funny. Did not realize that was a thing. So let's see. Where were we? How do we get back to? Why is it not taking me back to the chart? What? Do I have to open up a new chart? What a hassle. Why is it not showing me my most commonly used? There we go. This is the one that I use the most. So let's move this and get rid of this. Can I not move? Oh, there we go. It was loading. So yeah, definitely some risk there. All right, Oracle. Let's look at Oracle. Oracle, I think, is in an interesting spot here. Check this out. What's that look like? Well, let's change it to the monthly, and you can see why I put the line where I did. The monthly, which again has the most weight to it, very clear head and shoulders, and this is where I would draw the line where we want support. The reason I do that is because if you look at it on the weekly, you might say, well, it's not a head and shoulders, or you might say, well, this is the line, right? Like something like this or whatever. And maybe it is. It's actually the same line in this case. What I would say though is regardless, we need to hold this 137, this 140, whatever we want to call it. Let me go back to the monthly here real quick. Um, yeah, we really need to hold. Yeah, I would say this is fine right here. Could be something like 138 to 140. The 50 SMA on the monthly, by the way, acting as support too. So this is why I like the chart here, because this could be a super bullish setup. Now, before you go and buy a bunch of leaps, keep in mind that we're at the point of confirmation this month, hopefully. It could be 2 months, who knows? Where if we close below here for the month, which you still have 2 weeks to go, 3 weeks. Oh wow, we have 3 weeks left in this month. Um, if we close below it by the end of the month, this bar right here would finish here, and that would be a breakdown of the head and shoulders pattern, in my opinion. Now, if we close above it, we have upside potential. So I think this is where a lot of people worry about, like, but what if this candle ends up going like this? Well, then yeah, that happened. But this is where we're either betting on the future at this exact moment, or we are waiting for confirmation, which would be the more prudent choice for conservative traders and investors. But I think overall, this is a bullish setup, and I am keeping an eye on it. I'd love to see us head to the upside. Again, this could be a place where you sell at the money covered calls, or sorry, cash secured puts to start a position if you don't have one and you want to get in. Because the upside here is quite nice. It's 150% almost to that top end of our all-time high at 350, and that's significant, obviously. So who knows? I don't know if we're going to go back there anytime soon, but I do think they've been affected by the technology services woes that a lot of other big names have as well. Things like Microsoft, who are down pretty bigly, but again in a good spot to take back off. And others, Netflix, Reddit actually was in that bucket, I would say, for a while, and they're starting to break back out. So, yeah, a lot of potential for sure of upside for Oracle. I like the chart. Um, I don't currently own any Oracle or have any holdings in it. I'm in too many adjacent plays. So, because I have some Adobe exposure, very minimal. Microsoft, pretty good size Microsoft exposure, almost 10% on Microsoft, and a little bit elsewhere that I would put adjacent to this, Reddit being one. I don't want to add to that. That'll mess up my personal diversification, and I wouldn't want to see I wouldn't want to see a drop across that entire sector make me cry every night, basically. So things to keep in mind as we go into this trading week. But yeah, it could be a good setup. It could be a good setup. Let me know if you end up with it. I'll be interested. We are going to follow it regardless. I want to see how this plays out. We're not like in any clear channel anymore for Oracle. We went to this. If you look, whoops. If we look back here, we were in a channel like for a long time, and then we had a breakout, which is great. If I can click the line correctly, right? We obviously broke out here in a couple years ago. These bars right here, which was also kind of cool, right? We saw this possible breakout consolidation happening for a year. And then in June 2024, clear breakout to the upside, and we stayed there. Look at that. See, this is how we get confirmation. We stayed there for months, which at that point says, hey, we're likely for a continuation after some consolidation. Because this was a big run. This was 150%. But then we went there to another 150%. See how that worked? Broke the channel the upside. That didn't mean we were going to sideways back into the channel. What that implied was we were going to break out to the upside, and pretty wild run up. You're going in on leaps today. All right. Well, good luck. It didn't come from me, right? I wish you the best of luck, though. It is certainly an attractive potential position here. And even if we're like back in the channel right now, that this has already broken down. So the channel's over, and that's where that's where I don't worry about us like going back in, and yeah, I think that would be an odd an odd move. Now could happen, could happen. Prior moves for Oracle. Look at how this chart just goes up to the right. Like even this spike up, this is a spike up because we're in log to 35. Right? Like nothing scary at all there, even though we dropped down to 5. And then what a run. 6,000%, man. Started competing, sorry, let me catch up. Breakout was after they migrated to SaaS, started competing as a real cloud provider. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they've got money, man. They're doing some stuff. Now that's also that like whole debt concern, I think, is what led to the drop here from here to here, which is, a 60% drop. That's significant. And it's got to be, I think, back to a pretty appropriate valuation to begin a new run up. $400 billion market cap. PE is only 25. Very reasonable. Big company, but very reasonable for, what is the PE for Nvidia? 31. Um, Not exactly the same, obviously. So, who would be a good competitor to Oracle? I wonder. Whatever. You can look that up, of course. But I think overall, it's probably a good spot. Probably. I would say again, we gotta see confirmation here, but I don't think it's scary to get in here, based on the historical, and also they're a company that makes money. So that's always kind of a key thing that I look for these days more and more is, does the company make money? A lot of these companies here, ASTS does not make money. Galaxy does make money. Oh no, they don't. They've come close, I guess. They did make money. That's right, but they don't currently. CoreWeave, they're just spending like a fire hose. Same with a lot of these other smaller businesses. Although Oust has made money as well. Iron is also not in the profitable phase, although they have been. They're in the investment phase, and Nebius getting close. And I think Nebius is probably going to get there here in the next couple of quarters of earnings. Is my guess. Now that they've made their investments, they've diluted multiple times. I think they're kind of positioned well for some run ups. Yeah, a lot of debt is kind of the big concern with Oracle and a few others. How's this SJM channel going? Well, I don't know. It looks like we are going to head back to the bottom potentially. Although it could be some consolidation going on here. It's a slow mover, this one. We got to just keep an eye on it over time. And Pepsi was another big one that people were looking at. And look at that. Wow. Okay. This is one that again maybe makes the most sense for in this particular case confirmation at the end of the month because it's a slow mover. It's a low beta 0.2. It's about as low as it gets. Um, we had earnings. We were at the bottom of this 37-year channel. Insanity. Look how long this thing goes for. Actually insane. 1990. Crazy. And if we can hold on here, there's no reason why we wouldn't break out to the upside. But we have to hold on. And that does mean all the way till the end of the month. So again, another one to watch. Also, we have the 100 right below us, so good support there. So I think, we got a pretty good shot at Pepsi making another run. Percent wise, not as sexy as some of these other, 22%. Although, if you're talking leaps or something like that, that is $30 per leap of potential improvement if you're getting at the money here or something with some slightly in the money intrinsic value. But yeah, we're getting pretty close to market open. Hey, Foregunner, good to see you. Any other questions before we start off for this Monday of excitement this week? Hopefully, the war rhetoric cools off quickly and we can get back to the fun part of investing, which is not worrying about random macroeconomic events that are completely out of our control and just annoying because nobody wants this. Nobody wants this except for the people who want it, which are not the people on this stream, I would imagine. So yeah, we just gotta kind of sit tight and wait for news to come out. Hey, Nim, you're a sneaky guy hanging in the background. What a crap day so far. Yeah, for DC's and space and defense, most definitely. But look, this is pre-market. We should never get upset about pre-market. This is where the most manipulation can happen. And, the fact is, even the worst percent down of 3% is not as bad as those stocks typically move. Like they have 10% days all the time. Uh, have fun at work, Jonathan. I hope it's good. And yeah, thanks for watching, man. Happy to share it. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, Foregunner. Same deal. I got a few that, what? I don't know. I might actually cover Core Weave below cost basis, which is not a common thing that I do, but it's a question of how much time do we have before we might burst back out. And, actually, I'm looking here. I wonder if it could be the start of something. I don't know. If we were to bounce back up, what would it actually look like here? If this was a channel for us, which it could be. It could be. Channels have to start somewhere. I mean, the upside is still high though. So, you know what? I don't think I will cover Core Weave. Not on a -3% day. There's no reason to rush. I was thinking about doing something here at like 100 because look at the stack on the weekly. Look at the stack of SMAs and EMAs. It literally is 96 to 99, right? So I think there's a chance that we hit this and kind of bounce back down before we move back up. And weekly time frames are nice and slow, so that'll feel painful for a little while. Which you know what? I don't know. Maybe I will do, but we'll give it some time. The key is, do we hold above 83 this week? Hopefully we do. Hopefully we do. And if we do, I would expect that we will run back up to the upside. Um, Outside of that, the big thing I'm probably going to do is open some puts on ONS and oust that I didn't get my shares back that I wanted. I was hoping to get them at 43, and we're opening at even better 42. So all of a sudden, 40p is on the menu. Let's take a quick look at what that would look like if we just looked at. So if we closed at 43, we would look at 41 to see what that would be an equivalent of, which is pretty big. $2, maybe $2. We can go a little bit further out. Let's look at 20. And 40 would be equivalent to 39. So yeah, we have some really good potential here to get Aus shares at a nice price for what I'm willing to pay. I was willing to pay 45. So this is great. I'll see you. Great. Thanks for stopping by, man. Always a pleasure to have you as well. Nice job again on the newsletter. It's really good stuff. Yeah, so Aus is probably on the menu early on. And I continue to keep an eye on Nebius, which you know what, 195 held last week. Are we going to head back there again? It's possible. We should probably look at the chart actually, because Nebius is pretty high off where it tested. Let's go look at the daily. You can see we dropped all the way down to 192 was an open, but we didn't finish. What would we finished at 195? Right? You closed at 195. Yeah, that's the support line. That was the top of the gap here from way back. So this is an expected support line from my perspective. Well, this gap, even though it was closed, will continue to serve as like a baseline for people since this was a new normal. That's how I like to look at these. This is like basically a new normal. And we might, you know what? It to me, it also seems likely that we've got some potential head and shoulder stuff going on with Nebius. Boom, boom, boom. Hard to tell for sure. But yeah, I think let's see where we open at. There is some drop as we get a little bit closer into open happening there. Um, but no real changes. What are the indices saying right now? IWM is minus 0.3, SPY is minus 0.35, and QQQ is minus 1.1. So QQQ obviously getting hit the hardest here, being more of the AI chip stocks, which I know they're getting hit hard. Obviously, we're seeing it with SOX, so that was down 10 or 11% earlier. So yeah, I think just stuff we're keeping an eye on, I'd say. So VIX getting to these like all-time lows, not all-time lows, but very low points for where we've been. Not a whole lot going on there. And then finally, the fear and greed we didn't check is neutral. We closed neutral almost exactly. This goes 0 to 100, right? So we're right in the middle. And I love reading. I love reading these comments overnight, or just in general, especially because they always have random usernames that make no sense. In fact, I have no idea why I'm only seeing this one person's message. Whatever. All right. With that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Actually, today we're getting pretty close to open. It's 5 minutes away, so hopefully you all have figured out some plan for your approach for the week. I am personally very interested in improving my cost position on a couple of stocks, and yeah, we got all week ahead of us. Let's look. We're starting with a low bar, so it should be up from here, assuming we can get to some once again resolution on the geopolitical stuff. With that, you all have a great week. Have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow, so hopefully I see you then. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.